Hey there, y'all. It is that Miss Moon, whatever you want to call me. And today is a very special day in my sketchbook because I am halfway through. This is the halfway spread. It has taken me over a year to get to this point in my sketchbook, and I'm planning on not letting that continue for the second half of the sketchbook. But it's kind of a trend or something that I do in each one of the sketchbooks I have, where on the halfway spread I do some kind of drawing, whether that be my original characters, me, and something that just references it being the halfway point of my sketchbook. So I kind of want to do the same thing. So what my plan is on this side, I want to draw like an image of my main original characters, just like before they get a whole redesign. I'm already planning their redesign video. And then this side, I want to do maybe the sketchbook mascot with something that just says halfway at this point. So we'll see how that goes. But nothing left to it but to do it. I'm going to flip to one side so I don't get overwhelmed by the decisions. And we will get started.
Hey there, y'all. It is Voiceover Moon coming to you to film our last video of 2025. We are about to move into 2026, and I thought I need to post something before we move into this next chapter. So what you see me doing here is sketching out my main quartet of characters. I call them originally the Horny Trio just because they all had horns, but then I made Orion's younger sister Ophelia and they became a quartet. So that is who I'm drawing here. It is a redraw of a drawing that I did back in 2021 and even I think 2020. I'll show y'all near the end. But in previous videos, y'all may have heard me say that my original characters really need to be redesigned. And so I decided as a final farewell drawing, I'm going to draw these original characters how I've always drawn them, in the same clothes I've always drawn them, just saying goodbye to their old designs, because I know their designs, some of them are going to change pretty drastically. And that's just because I'm finally trying to make their designs match up with the lore that I came up with. At this point, it was over a year ago now. And while I am really attached to these original designs because they've been with me for so many years, it's finally time for me to start shifting this channel towards actually talking about my original characters, actually making them line up with the stories that I do want to tell eventually. I'm not saying that I'm going to be making any web comics or anything like that. That's not in my plans at the moment. Not to say that it can't happen if y'all are interested after y'all learn a bit more about them. But I want them to be characters that I can connect with, that I can finally start seeing as they are, if that makes sense. Like, for example, Paya in the center, she's the one that I'm kind of sketching on right now. She was created based off of some kind of character design challenge, and her design has not changed much since that point. Of course, some of these aspects that I got from that design challenge will influence her design going forward, but she hasn't ever really been designed with the purpose of fitting into this story. I kind of briefly went into the designs and the clothes that I want their people to have, which I'm not going to touch on in this video. It'll be more in the redesign video, but her design did help shape what I want their clothes to be like in the future. But overall, she does not fit, and it's about time for me to switch that up. I want them to be cohesive outside of just their colors matching together, outside of them all having horns. That's something y'all can look forward to going into 2026.
The portion where I can lighten my sketch and do line art. Normally I like to do the coloring and then do line art, but I don't trust myself right now. Did that lighten? Kinda, barely, but hey. And I usually use like a brush pen to do all my, or some kind of flexible pen like this one, but I did that on the first page and I regretted it, so now we're just gonna try something different.
Every time we get to these line art portions of the video, I become acutely aware of how much my hand blocks everything that you're seeing. So I kind of played around with some different tripods, some different filming equipment that I had laying around for my phone. And I think I'm gonna try something new come next year so y'all can get a different angle. I don't know how much it's gonna work out, and I'm gonna need y'all feedback, but it is in the works. That's something that we're gonna change. We're not just gonna have these overhead angles, so those of y'all who are annoyed by it, y'all can celebrate. Woo! Now with the line art, you can notice that I'm leaving these small gaps or these dots, and that's something that I picked up from Casey Golden years ago. And I would do it a lot in my older sketchbooks, but as of this recent sketchbook, I haven't really been doing it too often. So as another blast to the past, I decided to try it out, and I really love doing it. There's no rhyme or reason as to where I put the dots, or why I put them where I put them, or why I do 2 instead of 1 at certain points. I just do it, and I like how it looks. I like the effect that it gives off, but who knows if I'll continue that into this next year. But I've been noticing that I've been trying out a lot more stuff and changing little bits of my style. Like if you notice with the eyelashes, instead of doing the 3 just strips or the 3 lines, I've been doing more fleshed out eyelashes, and I don't know how I feel about that. I keep going back and forth every time I draw them, but they're becoming more and more of a habit. And then as far as the line art, like I mentioned, I usually use a flare pen or a brush pen, something of that nature. And lately I've been doing a lot more of the consistent line style and then adding more line weight as I go on. I'm really excited about where my style is going, and to be able to compare it to maybe the end of 2026. That'll be something to look forward to. Now that I have finished the line art and added some line variation to it, we're moving on to the coloring process. And funny enough, I still use the exact same markers that I used when I first gave them colors, when I was first designing them. And so I have the exact colors that I used in my original sketchbook for their design. So that was really easy. That was fun. And it was crazy to see. It made me super nostalgic. But I think it's about time that I kind of told y'all about the story that I was working with when they were originally created. Of course, I'm going to go into further detail and go to their updated story once I redesign them all. But I want y'all to kind of get to know these characters as who they were before you see who they're becoming. So I'll start with Artemis, who I'm coloring right now. He was originally a character for a completely different story that I was thinking about writing, where it'd kind of be a choose your own adventure type story. And he was this mythical being or this myth that existed in the forest, and a character kind of stumbled upon him because she was trying to bust the myth or confirm if it was real or not. And so she meets him and she discovers that he's not nearly as violent as he was portrayed to be. He's actually this really chill guy who's just a recluse, and that transferred over into this story as well. So Artemis still originated in the forest, and this group of characters ends up stumbling upon him, and he acts as kind of a protector, as a soundboard. He's there to kind of push them in a way. He makes them improve on their skills, and he's still not very emotive. He doesn't really express himself too well, but you can tell that he loves the people that he's around through his actions. I had a couple headcanons where plants tend to grow around him and he constantly smells like flowers just because of his forest background, and just as something, just fun to add. Now we're moving on to Paya, who's in the center. She, like I mentioned, was based off of a character design challenge, so she didn't really have any background. It was just because she had horns that I threw her in this group of characters who also had horns. But from what I could tell from her design, she's pretty rough. She's pretty brash. Like, she doesn't really follow many social cues. She lives how she wants to live. She's a fighter. I knew that. And she really likes sweet treats is a headcanon that I had. And she's just like one of those characters that has no filter. She's gonna say what she thinks, no matter what you think about it, how you feel about it, and if you get mad about it, she will fight you over it. She does not care. She gonna tell it how it is, and that's who Paya grew to be as a character. I'll do Ophelia and Orion together since they're siblings. So Ophelia, of course, is the young girl of the group, and then Orion is the one I'm coloring right now. So Orion, he was kind of this shy character who I created, again, as a random character design, and he took on a life of his own. And I made him this rough and tough, like rocker type character at first. And then I drew him baking a cake or a cupcake or something one day. And I was like, this is a facade. He's not as rough or as tough as he portrays himself as. And I took that and ran with it. So he is actually really into baking. He only dresses like this because he's seen humans do it, and he thinks that the aesthetic of it is cool, but he doesn't necessarily know how to actually act as cool or as tough as he portrays himself as. He has a soft side that only the people closest to him ever really get to see, and he really expresses that soft side with his younger sister, Ophelia. Ophelia, she's a character that was created simply because I wanted to draw a rain jacket that went down and covered the whole arms. That's it. That's why she was created. And I was like, you know what? She can be Orion's younger sister. And she is a character that I made really close to Paya to kind of give her another side to her. Ophelia kind of idolizes Paya. She loves how tough she is. She loves her confidence. She loves the lack of filter. And she loves that she is a different type of person than her older brother, because her older brother is protective. He tries to shelter her a lot, whereas Paya wants her to see the world for what it really is. And so Ophelia tries to mimic the things that Paya does, much to Orion's distaste. He tries to keep her on the straight and narrow, but Paya wants to influence her not in the best of ways. And then Artemis is kind of like another older brother figure that's similar to Orion, but he's just more of a protective figure that she can go to with anything, any of her troubles. And they're similar in the ways that they don't necessarily understand the world too well. And that is who this group of characters was. Like, their backstory wasn't expanded, where they came from, the world they lived in, none of that was touched on. And so I just continued to draw them and kind of update their design here and there, but they didn't really get fleshed out fully. So that's what I'm hoping to do in the coming year. But as of now, this is the goodbye. This is who they were, and they will never be the same. So it's bittersweet.
All right, so here are the two pieces side by side. As we can see, this one was done in 2021 and this one was done 4 years later in 2025. I can definitely see some improvement. I'm drawing full bodies. Coloring wise, not just flat colors with basic shading, even though it's only like one step above that. But yeah, I like it a lot more. Still have some elements of the original style. This time he actually has a shirt. This time her arms are somewhat proportional. I think they're still too long, bro. That's just something I always do. And him, he actually has his jacket on, which I shift over here. You can see it. I literally copied the jacket bar for bar because I was not trying to read it. Saying goodbye to their original designs. Man, I really like this. Now, I just have to move on to the other half of the sketchbook, which I think I'm gonna draw Scotty on this side. All right, so I went ahead and sketched out my OC Scotty. She's the sketchbook mascot. I sketched it out with this Tombow Fudenosuke pen because I just love the blue sketches. And since I'm gonna be using acrylic paint markers to do this page, there's no reason for me to use pencil, and it's all gonna get covered up. So I think the first thing I wanna do is start out with like a pinkish base, something that's like more pink gray, maybe R250. And I wanna just go over the background with this color. Again, does not matter if I go over any of these lines because it's just gonna get covered regardless. At least I hope. And even if it doesn't, hey, it's a sketchbook. Now I'm gonna do, I think, R11. I said I think, and I already kind of decided actually. Just kind of reminiscent of the first page. CG04 or Reliable World. And then I'll come in with something like this. Reminiscent of space, you know? And this one I kind of do care because it is darker. Now I'm gonna start with her skin.
Now Scotty, she is not any new character. She is a character that I actually had a whole lore session for, and you can watch this video that's popping up in the top right corner if you're interested in learning more about her. But main thing you need to know is she's an alien who travels through space on the run.
I don't want to necessarily use it as a shadow, but I'm going to use it as a shadow. Let me just do that so I can be comfortable. Oh, stuck my hand into wet paint. Lovely. What if I just didn't make the nose how it was before? Like how I said, I'm just gonna not do the nose the same way, and then I do the nose the same way, right?
I am really liking the skin right now. I'm not gonna lie. When I see this on camera, it looks so much better than it does in person, and I'm so glad y'all get to see this. Also, let me know what y'all are thinking about the kind of real-time cuts. So it has some sped up moments and then real-time moments, kind of like a draw with me type style. I don't know. Tell me what y'all think.
Really, okay, this is under this, but I know I'm gonna get lost when I come back to add the details. Oh, this is gonna look so good. Yep, and here we are, where I know I will be confused. You know, it just looks how it looks.
All right, so that's enough out of the real-time me. Now you're gonna have voiceover me for almost the remainder of this video. And I do want to touch on how hard I was on myself during this video. Like, I cut out a lot of the moments where I was kind of being sarcastic with myself about the progress I was making, because I don't have a true process for how I use acrylic paint markers just yet. And I was questioning myself, second guessing every decision that I made, but it came out really good. Like, I'm honestly so proud of myself. I am so happy with how the hair came out, so happy with how the skin came out, the eyes, everything else, but the main portions of the drawing came out so good, and it's such a good improvement from what I did on the cover of the sketchbook that I cannot be mad at it. I was also kind of side-eyeing these acrylic markers because they didn't have nearly as much coverage as I first thought they did. Like these oranges, for example, you can still see the horns through it, and I went over it a whole bunch of times and you can still subtly see it. So I had to give up on that. Like I mentioned, this is just a sketchbook. This isn't a real finalized work that I'm gonna hang up anywhere, although I'm thinking about printing it. But it is what it is. I also wanted to touch on her design. So there were a couple of things that I decided to switch up from when I originally drew her, and that is her eyes and her teeth. I was thinking, like, she looks too humanoid for this to be an alien. I want her to have some aspect about her design that is unnatural to the human eye. So I was like, oh, what better way than to give her some weird eye shade? I just decided to switch it up. And then the teeth, that was just me. That was me having a guilty pleasure of doing some weird sharp teeth. And I don't know if I'll keep it in her finalized design, but this is just for fun. And seeing this all come together, I really think that 1 week sketchbook challenge did help me when it came to picking out my colors and actually coloring with the acrylic markers. That's what had me so eager to gravitate towards them instead of using regular markers on this marker paper. And so if you haven't seen that, I would definitely recommend going and checking out that whole process. And if you don't even want to check out the whole process, I do have just a regular tour at the end where you can see each day instead of going day by day. That's shameless self-promotion, but I'm going to go ahead and be quiet as we finish up the drawing. Tell me what you think in the comments. Truly, I want to know y'all opinions and how you think I can improve. If you're going to talk about the armor, I know.
This is me coming to you in post. I decided to pull out my 7th sketchbook so I could see what I did for the halfway spread back in 2022, and look at the difference. Both of these are done with paint markers. Look at the difference. Like, I was really on myself like, man, I don't know if I did too good. Like, I don't know if I was skilled. Look, just look at these two. And you can say that you like this one more because I like the simplicity of it, but look at the skill difference. I didn't like this one when I finished it. This one, I still don't care too much for it, but it's way better. Like, I still like it. Like, but look, like, wow, a difference of over 3 years, 3 years and some months. Just keep drawing. That's all I gotta say. That's my encouragement. Just keep drawing. Just keep drawing, bro. All right, so we are completely done with the halfway spread. It is my sketchbook mascot, Scotty. I kind of like it. I mainly like the hair, I think. Everything else is kind of meh, but that is going to be it for today. We did my main set of OCs, the horny trio or quartet, as I call them, and then sketchbook mascot, just because we're halfway through. Of course, I should draw her. And flipping back to the front of my sketchbook, you can see her here. She looks pretty much the same. Didn't really update much of the design, but that is gonna be it, y'all. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't enjoy it, let me know why in the comments. But don't dislike though. I hope you have a great rest of your day. If you didn't have a great day, you know you can turn it around. Do something kind for yourself. Hydrate. Exercise if you feel like you need to. Oh, I forgot. It is the new year. By the time I'm posting this video, it is going to be the end of 2025. So go ahead, start your New Year's resolutions. I do have some videos planned for next year, so stay tuned for those. It's going to be a little teaser since most of y'all don't stay to this point. We are going to be doing a whole revamp. I'm going to be designing my persona, and for those of you who have stayed this long, I'll even give you a little sneak peek. That's it. That's all you get. That's all you get. All right. Bye.